please.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Truth and Rhythm. Brought to you by funkandstuff.net, this is the interview show that gets deep in the pocket with contemporary music's foremost masters of the groove. I am your host, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine, musicologist, creative arts journalist, and multimedia pro. Whether you're watching the video version of this show or the audio-only podcast version, I thank you so much for your continued interest and support in this show. If you enjoy this programming, there are several ways to help support Truth and Rhythm, as well as contribute to further enhancements and expansion, plus get some sweet perks and rewards in the process. First, subscribe to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube, which is where Truth and Rhythm lives, and be an advocate by spreading the word among fellow funk, jazz, and R&B music lovers. Second, join Truth and Rhythm's new membership program through Patreon, which features 3 tiers for truth believers, truth seekers, and truth crusaders. You can also submit a direct donation to the cause anytime at funkandstuff.net. At that site, which is loaded with awesome content, you can also purchase the book Everything's on the One, The First Guide of Funk, shop for official Truth and Rhythm and Funk and Stuff merchandise, and use the Amazon links for all of your online purchases, which allocates a percentage to this show. Sponsorship opportunities are available as well. Contact me directly at scottg@funkandstuff.net. For those of you who go the extra step in supporting the show, you have my heartfelt gratitude for allowing us to continue to shine the light on those special artists whose quest is to find truth in rhythm.
I'm delighted to welcome to the Truth and Rhythm Mothership funk and soul saxophonist and singer Sir Waldo Weathers, best known for his 15 years as a member of James Brown's band from 1993 to 2008. Other artists he has worked with include Charlie Pride, Johnny Taylor, and Phil Collins. He's also recorded and performed under his own name, as well as leading groups called the Funk Circus and the Classic Soul Orchestra. He currently heads up the James Brown band that also features longtime Godfather of Soul bass player Fred Thomas, singer Cynthia Moore, and trumpet player Hollie Farris. And we also have Cynthia and Hollie with us today. So greetings, everybody. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Hi, Cynthia. I didn't know you were here. Finally.
Yeah. Well, so we overcame some technical hurdles, but, you know, we're here and we're here to talk about the funk and music. And I gave some background on Waldo. Cynthia, do you want to give us a little bit of background on yourself?
Well, I reside here in Buffalo, New York. Been here basically all my life. Been singing since I was a baby. I mean, literally a baby. Started out in the church, and you know, got my gospel roots and things like that from church. And I don't know, I've been like professionally singing for like, I'd say over 50 years now. I hate to say that, but it has been over 50. That's sad, but it's happy. For about over 50 years now. I'm proud of that. I shouldn't say sad. I'm proud of that, you know.
Yeah, you're an old woman.
That's all right, but hey, that's for another show. Anyway.
Well, it's so good to have you. We'll get more into some of those details.
I thank you so much, you know.
Hollie, what about a little bit on yourself?
Went to school and graduated from college with a degree in music to teach, and then I decided I didn't want to teach, so I joined a band, moved to Nashville, and while that band was on tour, James Brown heard the band and hired me. That was in 1975, and yeah, rest is history, so they say.
Yeah, we're going to get into that history. Been looking forward to it for sure. Where's everybody at today? I think you already told me, but so that viewers know, we've got Cynthia, you're in Buffalo, right?
Yes, Buffalo, New York.
And that's where you hail from, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And Hollie, you're from in Nashville, right?
Nashville, Tennessee. Yes, sir. Yes,
and is that also where you're from originally?
Originally from Missouri, but yeah, I moved to Nashville in 1973. So yeah, so I consider myself a Nashvillian, or Johnny Cashville, Johnny Cashvillian.
Music City, yeah. And then from across the pond, we have Waldo. You're tell the folks where you are today.
I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I live in Stuttgart, Germany.
Cynthia, let's jump in with you. You know, how did you first get into music and singing, and who were some of your, heroes?
As I said earlier, I started in church. A lot of gospel singers that I used to listen to. My mom used to have on the radio, getting ready for church on Sunday mornings, because my mother she sung in the choir, so she initiated me to go in the junior choir. So after she got tired of singing, she just sent me on to church to sing over here and over there. So after a while, she kind of stepped back out of it and then kept me going at it. And I just constantly went everywhere that our church went with different, shows in different cities and things of that nature. And then as I got older, I sung with the band, the Unity Band, which is a band here in Buffalo, New York, who's still playing at this time. I originated with them back in, it must be 79, 80, late 70s, I'll put it that way. As I was singing with them, we did a lot of James Brown music, and I was a background singer for one of the gentlemen who used to do the James Brown segment of the show. At one time, Mr. Brown's former guitarist, Mr. Ron Laster, was there in our group. And at the time, going back to now I'm coming up to 91, Mr. Brown was incarcerated at that time. Mr. Laster was playing with my group, again, the Unity Band. And I happened to see his mother at the beauty shop. We were both getting our hair done at the same time. And I heard her saying that he was getting ready to go back to the group because Mr. Brown was getting the group back together so that they could go back out and restart, his career after being gone away for that, like you said, a long unwanted vacation that he had, as he used to say. And I said, your son, he used to play in my band. She said, oh, really? I hadn't heard from him in a while. Tell him to give me a call. So she told him that I talked with her in the beauty shop. We talked, me and Mr. Laster, and he told me to come down and audition. And I drove 16 and a half hours, not knowing whether I was going to be a part of the group or not. And at that time, another vocalist that is part of the Bittersweet group with Mr. Brown, named Lisa Rushton, was one of my background singers. So me and her both went together, because we're both from Buffalo, and we drove down to audition for Mr. Brown. He didn't know we were coming. We didn't know if we were going to even meet him. I'd submitted tapes, and he'd always say, to Mr. Laster, okay, I got the tape. I hear, but I don't see it, she's not here, and he happened to be getting ready to leave to go to LA to audition young female vocalists to put a group together. And we just happened to get down there before he did that. And we both auditioned, myself and Miss Rushton. And he said, where are you guys from? We told him we're Buffalo, New York. He said, oh, you're the young lady that was on the tape. I said, yes, sir. So he asked me to sing a song. I sung Home by Stephanie Mills. He asked Miss Rushton to sing something. She sung Vision of Love by Mariah Carey. And he said, you girls sound pretty good. And he said, yeah, I sound like that. Yeah. He said, but where you say you were from again? It's Buffalo. He said, yeah, that's what I thought. You said Buffalo. He said, how'd you get here? He said, we drove. You drove? I said, yeah, we drove. You drove all the way down here? I said, yes, sir. Yes, we did. He said, that's 16 hours. I said, no, 16 and a half. And the rest kind of was history, because he asked us if we had passports. And, he said, if you don't, you better get them yesterday. So he hired us. And
Wow.
that was in 91 to present. So still with the group.
You know, when I think of Buffalo, I immediately think of, Rick James, Stone City Band. Did you
Yeah,
ever cross paths or meet any of those guys?
many times. Some of the musicians are still here in the city. And they do. They have a funk fest every year here in Buffalo in remembrance of Mr. James, and also some of the band members. I played with some of them as well. When I won the Buffalo Hall of Fame, a couple of them played for my in my songs in the when they give you the gift. Prior to that, they asked you to do like 3 songs, and they played for me when I was nominated that year, and I thought pretty highly of them to do that for me, and they were happy to do it, and I was happy to have them. So, yes,
You got a little bit of that James and James connection, James Brown and Rick James.
yes, I do.
Well, thanks for that.
Yes,
Holly, what about you? What were who were some of your what inspired you? Who are some of your heroes with the instrument?
Well, I got inspired by my band director in grade school to play trumpet, and I thought it'd be easy because it only had 3 buttons, but that was a big mistake. And I got good enough to get a scholarship to go to college, and which I did. And then after that, I taught school for a year, and then I was drafted in the U.S. Army during the height of the Vietnam War. But luckily, I didn't have to go. And then after that, I came back to school and got my master's on the GI Bill. And then in the meantime, we formed a band in college, and we were playing weekend. We were the busiest band around there. And after I graduated, it was just a perfect timing that everybody in the band was sick of being around where we were, which was Missouri and Arkansas. And we decided to move to Nashville and become famous. So we did that part of it, but we didn't become famous. But we did move to Nashville and became a show band, and that's when James heard our band and hired me. And then later I got our keyboard player and sax player out of the band. So all of a sudden there's 3 white guys in an all-black band.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's how that went. And then after James went to prison, I toured with Steve Winwood. And then after Brown passed, I was hired by Joss Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other horn players was hired. She had done a few things with Brown, and she loved Brown. He loved her, so she thought it'd be great to have a couple of his horn players with her, which is what we did.
Thank you. Waldo, welcome back. Before you dashed off, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that you're the only sir that has appeared on Truth and Rhythm. And before we get into more of your musical background, I'm just curious, how did you attain that title?
I'm curious about how I've done a lot of shit, but I was playing a gig in Braxton, Germany, at a castle for the Duke of Braxton. And as I'm doing the show, I look out into the field. There's like about 8 horseback riders in total knight uniforms, and the Duke is riding in front of them, and they come right up the middle of the stage, and then the Duke comes on stage, and they bring a big red pillow and ask me to get on my knees. And of course, when you do something like that with a black man,
you thought you were going to be beheaded.
And bro, I'll tell you, you might as well say, damn, they just peed on myself. but he said some words to the audience and blah blah blah, and then he knighted me. And of course, it's kind of like this, that not only the Queen can knight you, but in times of war and so forth, the Duke and other people could also knight you. And being that Germany does have royalty, it was still considered being a real knighting. Of course, that's debatable. I don't know, but that's how the story goes. And the crazy part about it is that somebody had my video camera recording everything, and there was other video cameras. And this happened 20 years ago or longer than that. And until this day, I have never seen anyone with anything of that show. It really, and my video camera broke. My video camera broke.
Oh wow!
So up until now, I've never seen anything about the knighting. And actually, about 6 months ago, we have a restaurant here in Stuttgart, and it was on one of the days that I was off. The Duke's daughter came to our restaurant looking for me, and I wasn't there. And our employee, of course, didn't get her number or anything. She didn't leave it. So then, hopefully she'll come around again, and we can meet and talk. Or she was pretty sure a little baby during that time.
So there's no proof of this at all.
There's no absolute proof at all. It's really crazy. Really crazy.
Did either of you know Waldo before he was knighted?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did that change him at all?
Not really.
It went to his head. Yes, absolutely.
It just it just got a couple of inches bigger. That's about it. But other than that,
nothing else got bigger anyway.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching or listening to this and you were at the show or have any knowledge of video, bring it forward.
Bring it.
Yeah.
In Braxton, Germany. Yeah.
So then, Waldo, musically speaking, what drew you to saxophone, and who are some of your heroes and inspirations coming up?
Well, I actually started off on piano. My mother and father were. My mother was the pianist in church. My father was the jazz organist. And so I automatically just took to piano. And then I moved from piano to drums, from drums to bass fiddle. And bass fiddle was a little awkward walking back and forth to and from school. So that didn't last a long time. I still managed to learn how to play it. And then clarinet. And then finally, Mama bought me a saxophone. And then around the age of 12, somebody knocked on my door and said that they heard about me playing sax and wanted me to join their band. And it was like, Mama said, okay. The guy said, I'll take care of him and everything. And he owned a barbershop down in the West End. And so he took me, and that was it. I started playing R&B and soul and the little bars across the track and the gun shooting and everything, and a lot of stories about that, but that's for another show.
Well, who are some of your favorite saxophone players?
My absolute favorite, but I don't try to to mimic him is I'm gonna say Gerald Albright, and then comes David Sanborn, and then of course Maceo. But I kind of still just drift off into doing my own thing. I don't really try to mimic, anybody except Hollie. But that's it. I just kind of try to stay in my own lane and do what I do. But I'm not a jazz player. I'm more of what I call myself a melody player. I play melodies. I play around with melodies. I'm a sax player that sings on the horn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of my favorite players, talk about their singing voice basically coming through their horn.
Yeah.
I want to ask everybody, but I'll start with Hollie. How did you first meet James Brown, and what was your first impression?
Well, when I played with bands during college and whatnot, we always did James Brown songs, so he was like a hero of mine, and it was just unfathomable that I could ever meet him. But he came in the bar where we were playing, that band I was talking about that moved to Nashville, and he heard the band and hired me on the spot, and I was like, "You got to be kidding!" And it just so happened that it was the band. The band had been together 4 years, and it was our last week together. We were breaking up. So when he came in and hired me, I was like just over the moon over that. Couldn't believe it. It's like.
And how many years was that?
How many years? What has it been?
For Brown.
23 years I was with him. Yeah. So that was 1975 when he hired me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you do any studio work or just performance?
Oh, yeah. We did some studio work. First album we cut was Get Up Off That Thing. And that was quite different because I'd been used to, like most sessions, you go in, you put a rhythm track down, and then you put horns on top of that, and then you put the vocals on, you stack stuff, and that's how you do it. But we were just all gathered around a mic, and he counted it off, and there we off to the races. And we're like, what? This can't be, what? And the funny thing was that Get Up Off That Thing was the song, and he was teaching it to us, and we were just kind of fiddling around in there, messing around, trying to learn some horn parts and figure out some stuff. And we got the groove going for a little second there, and then all of a sudden he says, "Roll the tape." And we said, "What do you mean roll the tape? We hadn't even played the song yet." And he counted it off, screamed, and all the needles on the board pegged, and we cut it. First and only take. That was
it. Yes, he's a master of first takes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Who was the primary horn arranger at that time?
I guess I was. Yeah. But yeah, we just kind of did everything by ear. We didn't normally write out parts, but sometimes I did. But mostly it was just head charts. Just make up something.
Who was in the section then?
PJ, Jill Poff, Sinclair, and me, and Russell Crime. I think there was 2 trumpets, 3 saxes.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Did you know all the repertoire going in, or did you have to learn some of it after
I had to learn some
you?
of it because his repertoire was like into the hundreds of songs, hundreds, literally. And to this day, I still hear a song of his that I never heard before. Like,
me too.
What? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
He had
Really
a huge, vast repertoire, but yeah.
But you know what gets me? Is that if you look at his albums, he'll have a different album with the same songs.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 or 2 different songs. But at the same time, like Hollie said, every now and again you'll hear a song by him that you never heard before, and you don't even know what damn album it's on, if it's on an album at all.
Right.
And they just come up. But it's
That's
incredible how many albums he has sold with the same songs in different order.
Right.
Well, you know,
or revised, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Revised.
He might have the same title, but it's been cut 4 different times.
Yeah.
Sound,
like what they said.
Sound might
I
be
feel
different,
good.
might be faster,
I feel
slower.
good. 3 different versions of I Feel Good. 3.
Is it 3? I thought somebody said it was 8 different versions of I Feel Good.
Completely different feels is what I'm talking about. One of them was a shuffle, and one of them was like a big band. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he really messed with that one, but he got the right one. He put out the right one.
Yeah,
it's quite a complex discography for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Were you also there, Holly? You know, for Body Heat, and that, yeah, that's one of my favorite tracks from that period.
In that period of time, we used to go in the studio at least once a year and cut an entire album in 2 days. I'm talking finished. Cut all the tracks, mixed it, everything finished. Because I think at the time he was getting like $50,000 an album from Polydor. He'd say, I need some money. Let's go and cut an album. Cut an album in 2 days, and there's 50 grand in his pocket. But yeah, he came up with some good stuff, though. He did.
Yeah.
It wasn't trash.
Did he ever, grunt out or try to indicate, for you to play a certain way or hit a certain?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those weren't grunts. Those were notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were actually notes.
Nobody understood what the hell he was saying, but we
played it, but we understood it later.
We tried it, and we don't know if it's right or not. But if you said yeah, okay. If not, he'll it's funny cat.
Yeah, I had Martha High was on recently. I don't know if you guys saw that show, and I don't know if you got a chance to work with her at all, but it was really funny hearing her impersonate James Brown.
Yes.
Everybody know Miss High.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I got some stories about her, but I don't think they're suitable for television. Anyway,
appropriate.
Well, all right, Waldo. So tell us when you first met James Brown. How did you come to meet him, and what was your first impression?
You know what? When I first met him, I was home in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was working as a dishwasher, busboy, and everything else that threw me on at Albert Pick Hotel. I can't really recall the year. I guess it was somewhere around 60, between 66 and 68, I guess. And James Brown was staying at that hotel. And, I didn't know it. So somebody called for some room service. And then I took the food over to the room, and he opened the door, and it was like, go ahead. How much are you? Thank you. God bless. And that, that was the first time. And it's like I, walked out of the room. He had, a lot of the band was also in was like my mouth just kind of hung open for the rest of the day. And then I guess it was that time, I'm not really sure, I went to see him play. It might have been the same night. I don't really remember when it was. But when I went to the show, all I remember is that Bootsy was playing bass. I don't really know what year that was. Holly, do you?
By 69.
So anyway, one of the horn players, and I don't know what horn player it was, but they knew that I played baritone, and they approached me about taking a gig playing baritone. And it's like, and he kind of gave me the info and everything. And I basically said no, because, okay, like in 69, yeah, okay, 69, that makes sense. 69, I was playing with a local group there in Louisville, and I was making more money than the cats in the James Brown band was. Why should I go travel with this guy and make less money than what I'm making? So I told him no. And but then as life circles, if it's meant to be, it's gonna be one way or the other, whether you like it or not. You know, God's gonna put you where you're supposed to be sooner or later. So it happened. Sweet Charles came up to a gig. I was playing a New Year's Eve gig, and he came up and said, and you know, I just always have to think, hey man, give me a gig. And he looked back and said, you know, me and Brown was talking about a baritone player the other day. I talked to him. And so we went ahead and done a gig, probably about 6 months later, because it was in the summertime. 6 months later, he came to another gig I was playing right at the last note and walked up to the stage. He said, hey, remember that gig we was talking about? I said, yeah. He said, you got it. He said, here's a number, call the office in the morning. And it's like, are you shitting me? You know, and it's like, I got the gig and Brown hasn't even heard me. And so, but I called the office, you know, gives me the information, and they send me a ticket to come to Augusta. I go, where we have rehearsal at the Princess Hotel. I mean, the Princess Theater. And I play with the section, because, you know, for whatever reason, they all had some charts out on some songs they were doing. And of course, I cannot read. So, but I knew the song, I knew of the song. And so I just played what I thought fitted. And Brown said, it can't play. Don't even need a chart. He knows the song, y'all got charts. Still don't know the song. Mr. Weathers, welcome. It was so funny. Welcome to the Valley. And I think that when we went to Australia for 7 weeks, and that you know, that was really crazy. So, you know, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Wow. I wanted to ask you,
Yes.
you know, could you share with us one or two of your most unforgettable experiences performing and working with James Brown?
All of them.
Got a lot of them.
I don't know. I mean, I'm telling you, every show is an adventure almost. This close, so close. Because no show is ever the same. Each one of them are different. They're all different. We never play the same thing twice. Never. We never do it the same way all the time. It's always different. It's always a change of some kind. Sometimes we do things and he be looking at us like, yeah, okay, you know. And sometimes we have rehearsed certain things and we do them and he might have forgotten about it. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry. It's on me. It's on me. It's on me, you know. One that we did, I'm trying to think. You know, it's hard for me to even answer that question. It really is, because I mean, I remember we played, let's see, we were at Wembley. We played with the, then we played at, trying to think, was that, we were with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Was that at Wembley? Or was that at, it was in England. I know that much. It was over in England. Yes. And I enjoyed that because, and then we did Bonnaroo.
Oh yeah.
We also did. I'm trying to think of some nice ones. We went and it was awesome when we did Woodstock. I really liked that one. We did Woodstock.
I got a story about Woodstock.
Really, really nice. I like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, then Ronald Laster came out and he did the Jimi Hendrix thing where you start off singing playing "Oh Say Can You See," and then he just went all into. They just went bananas. I mean, it was like, whew, beautiful. We played at a castle one time, it's just so many different things. Yes,
on the boat from the.
We played on a yacht. The boat, they had separate boats, and only like 3 or 4 people could get on these speed boats to go to the big boat. That was in Monte Carlo. Was that not in Monte Carlo?
Yeah, I think it was Monte Carlo.
It was in Monte Carlo. Beautiful. We played with some places that's like unbelievable. I mean, I can't really name. It's a lot of them. It's just, you know. And then the people who come out to see him on his stage as well. You had Huey Lewis in the News. You had Puff Daddy. You had even stars that come out.
Rick James.
Oh yeah, when we did pay-per-view, he came out on the stage and just took one of the basses and started playing. And Mr. Brown said, "Get him off," because he was all out of key. High as a kite, out of key.
But he said, the one at the House of Blues. House of Blues.
Oh LA. My God. Yep, that's another one. We recorded that. We have that on tape. You can purchase that one. Madison Square Garden, we would play with the Black Eyed Peas when we did the song.
Well, Cynthia, what was your favorite 1 or 2 songs to perform yourself?
Myself, when I did Georgia with him, or when he sung "If I Rule the World," he would never let you sing, but maybe a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Can't take that shine from the boss, but it's beautiful all the time. I've always liked those 2 songs because I got a chance to. And then "Nighttime Is the Right Time" by Ray Charles.
Oh,
that was a highlight. That was a good highlight.
Miss Moore sung that. She sung that song.
You know, and then sometimes I would grab him around the waist and wiggle him and like pick him up. He said, "Let me down, let me down." Don't do that. It was just part of the no ma'am.
What year again did you first work with him, Cynthia?
I started in 91, early 91, right after he came out of incarceration, right after that. So until 2006 and his passing, but still with the band. Never left us.
Was he still strict and looking to find people and stuff like that after he came out of prison, or was he?
Oh, definitely, yes. He would take our fines, and we would have Christmas parties with him. All the fines at the end of the year, the Christmas party, he paid for it.
Paid for it.
Paid for part of it. Mm-hmm. Our annual Christmas parties, you would pay for part of that party.
You Hollie, know. You worked with him before and after, right?
Yes, sir.
So any changes that you noticed in just the way he conducted business before or after?
Not really. He was the same guy. And there was no difference. He was just as strict as he always was. And yeah. And he was all about business. That was his thing. So he wanted it right, his music right, and if he wasn't, then he'd let you know about it. And Occasionally he would find you. He'd flash the 5s, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I remember Ron Laster was on stage one night, and he was looking at some girl out in the audience, and James started flashing him. He flashed him for about 5 minutes. It ended up like $300-something bucks. Ron never looked at him. You had to keep your eyes on him at all times, because you never know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll throw it at you, Holly. Is there one or two shows that just stand out for whatever reason, whether it was, like the largest crowd, whether James did something that he didn't do on other shows, whether, I don't know, you had your family there, whatever it might be?
Well, we played on the Grand Ole Opry. That was pretty unique. I had my family there for that. Yeah. And James was happy to meet little Jimmy Dickens, who was one of his heroes. Dickens. Little Jimmy Dickens. Yeah. James knew all his songs. Yeah, but one of the most memorable concerts we ever did was in Modena, Italy, when James sang with Pavarotti.
Yes.
The symphony orchestra.
And in Georgia. Remember he jumped in the pool?
Well, I was going to go there next. Okay.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
Anyway, him and Pavarotti sang Man's World. They swapped off. Yes. Pavarotti was singing it in Italian. James was singing it in English. And it was so good, I started crying. I couldn't help myself. I've never done that before, ever. But it was so emotional and so perfect. It was just, it was mind-blowing. Absolutely. Wow. Yep.
Do you know approximately what year that was?
Wasn't that in 2005?
Could have been, yeah.
It was right before Mr. Brown passed.
No, way before that.
Was it way before that? No, I mean, I'm sorry, not him, but I'm talking Mr. Pavarotti. Shortly after that, he did that, he passed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Because wait a minute, Pavarotti's mother had passed the day of the concert.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his mother passed the day of the concert, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Show must go on.
Maybe that's why everybody was so emotional. That was a beautiful concert, though.
Yeah,
you can look it up on YouTube. It's there. Trust me, it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Orchestrated, the violins, everything. Beautiful.
About 100 strings and stuff. Crazy.
Yes.
And everybody there, Sting, Grace Jones.
Oh yeah.
What about Michael Jackson? Was he ever any of the shows that you guys were part of?
Yeah.
The BET Awards.
Yep. They were giving Mr. Brown Lifetime Achievement Award with BET.
Yeah.
And he surprised him and threw the cape on him. Yeah.
So Waldo, you were talking about some incident with a pool or something. What's a show or two that stands out for you?
What Cynthia was talking about in Georgia, country Georgia. What we did the last song, Sex Machine, because everybody knew that James Brown couldn't swim, and where the stage was like an Olympic-sized pool, and the stage was on one side of the pool, and the audience was on the other side. It was so crazy. We were so far from the people, but it was a great show. And before the song ended, all we know is that James Brown, shoes, clothes, and everything, jumped in the pool. He jumped in the pool, and the backup dancers, the two girls, they were like Navy SEALs. They jumped in right after him. and then I turned around, and then I think Holly jumped in. One of the drummers jumped in. Some of the singers jumped in. Some of the guitar players put that shit down and jumped in the pool. And everybody that jumped in the pool got a $200 bonus. Because that left me out because I can't swim and I wasn't getting in that.
Me too. Me too. Miss Mud, why'd you come in the pool and say that? I could mess up my hair, Mr. Brown. It was enough people in there, you know.
I'll never forget that. Them was it Cheryl? Well, one of the singers, Sherry and Heather.
No, it was what is it? Dara was the one that went in there and got him. Dara went in there and went up under and pushed him up.
They was in there like Navy SEALs.
Yes, they got in there and got him. Because he was sinking. He couldn't get up because the water filled up his boots and was holding him down. He had on cowboy boots.
In the deep part of the water. You know, that's what drugs get you, son. You go in the deep part of the water and you know you can't swim.
And the audience went bananas. They went crazy.
They went crazy.
That was it.
It was crazy. Yeah.
That was it.
Surprised you can't swim, you know. I mean, working up so much sweat when performing, you should be used to all that water.
Not that much.
Not that much.
Yeah, boy. That was my big remembrance.
There's much more to this great Truth and Rhythm interview. Just continue on to the next part of the episode. Also, be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already done so, please share it with friends. And become a member by joining Truth and Rhythm on Patreon or consider donating at funkinstuff.net. Thank you very much.